Hi, this is our third instalment of our three-part application series. Let's just remember what Rich has said so far in the previous two videos. First video, ask the question, what is application? Answer, changing my worldview. How our heart minds see, feel and think. Second video, ask the question, how do we do application? Answer, Psalm 1 verse 3. By meditating on the truth day and night. Not empty our minds, but filling our minds, our heart minds, with truth from God's lips. But that leaves us with a problem. I wonder how you have been doing at meditating these last few weeks. Maybe you've been brilliant and found it easy. Easy to, as Psalm 1 puts it, meditate on the truth day and night, all the time, 24/7. But I suspect that isn't the case for most of us. Most of us struggle, particularly in lockdown. So how do I meditate on His word day and night? Simple answer, we must meditate together. That's the new part in this video, the together. In short, God knows application is hard, so He gave us each other. More specifically, He gives us each other equipped by our Bible teachers with the truth to then apply it to each other. See, the church, each of us, that is one of God's primary ways of applying truth to each of our hearts. Let me try and persuade you that the Bible really says this. Firstly, an argument from the whole of the New Testament, and then secondly, from a particular passage in Ephesians. Firstly, from the New Testament as a whole. This might be really obvious, but every single New Testament letter is written to a church. Even 1 and 2 Timothy and Titus were written to an individual for the benefit of the church. So whenever we see the word you, which comes up a lot, just think, does he mean me or does he mean we? In other words, is the you plural or not? Because 99% of the time it's plural. The Bible is supposed to be heard by the church together. We tend to forget that, and often we become spiritual lone rangers, and that is a really tough existence. Secondly, Ephesians 4. It speaks specifically about this idea, and it uses the phrase in Ephesians 4:15 of speaking the truth in love. In other words, lovingly meditating on the Bible together. Now, we don't have time to unpack this whole passage fully, but just listen to the list of things that happen when we engage in our ministry together. Ephesians 4 verse 13 says this, when we are speaking the truth in love together, this is what happens. We, that's the church, we all reach unity in the faith and the knowledge of the Son of God and become mature, attaining to the whole measure of the fullness of Christ. That verse is mind-blowing. What does it even mean? Just how full is Jesus? Overflowing fullness, all the fullness. But here is the point, you see. This means that when you and I fumble through chatting and figuring out what difference a Bible passage makes to my worldview, my heart mind, and my life, we are growing together into however full Jesus is. I take it that is pure goodness and overflowingly magnificent. Don't we want that? I certainly do. And God has given us the most wonderful of tasks of ministry together. Isn't this one of the fundamental reasons why lockdown has been just so difficult? Because we are made by God to meet together, not just to socialise, but to speak the truth in love to each other. Now, I reckon that at St Thomas's, we're actually pretty good at this normally. Although it wouldn't harm us just to check if all our conversations are over cake after meeting together aren't just being British, asking how are you, and then leaving the more awkward, hard work of applying the sermon to one side. But this must be why so many of us have been loving the virtual coffee time after the service, as it just starts our conversations together and equips us and enables us to go on through the week, speaking the truth in love together. But in the absence of our church meeting together physically, I wonder if our small groups just take on an even more important role than normal. So here's the challenge. Why not deliberately schedule in your diary to speak and or text one of your small group every day to keep each other's eyes fixed on truth every week for the remainder of lockdown? Because it's a privilege to have this God-given ministry between us all. It feels really small and weak, as we've been hearing from Zechariah recently. But it will end in glory.